Your finances are important, and with so much information out there to know, we want to help. I'm Natasha Lubchenko. Welcome to Money Wisdom, sponsored by Johnson Brunetti. We're educating you about smart ways to manage your money, and joining us is Eric Hogarth, certified financial planner and Johnson Brunetti partner. Hey, Eric, great to see you.
Hi, Natasha. Great to see you. Thank you.
All right, so we always talk about the importance of having a financial plan, especially when it comes to retirement. And this is interesting. You say our plan should shift a little, 5 years from retirement, 3 years from retirement, and 1 year from retirement. So why is that?
We'll talk about it. So, early years, 20s, 30s, 40s, saving for retirement is not easy, but it's fairly straightforward. Save as much as you can. People ask, well, how much should I be saving? As much as you can. Should I save more? Yeah. As much as you can. It's save as much as you can, put it into your 401k or the market and let it run, and probably don't tinker with it too much. But as you get closer to retirement, you start thinking about, I'm really not going to be saving that much more money now. Things get different. And you start to look at, all right, well, now what's the plan? How am I going to transition from saving money to using money?
Right, so we want to get a little more specific, starting with 5 years out from retirement. So talk to me about a few steps that people should do in this time period.
Number one, when are you going to retire? Choose the target date. People say, well, okay, if I retire at 65, is it better if I work till 67? Yes, 100% of the time. What if I work till 70? Even better. You never retire. Life gets very easy for a financial planner, but that's probably not the goal of why you saved all this money. So zero in on when is it you're going to retire, because that's going to impact a lot of this. Next up is you figure out what your income need is going to be. A lot of people say, well, I'm not driving to work anymore, and I'm not buying work clothes anymore, so I'm going to spend less money. Probably not, because you're probably going to go out to dinner more often. You're probably going to travel more often, or do those projects you've been meaning to do. So you have to anticipate probably going to spend about the same amount of money, if not more. Everyone's different, so you start to look at how much income do you need, and do you have enough assets to generate that income? And then you start looking at the investments. Your goal approaching retirement is, I've got this much money, I want this much money. So you're investing for growth. Now you're thinking about spending money, and the investments that are really best to do that, they might be different. Okay, they are different. So you probably need to again look at what your investment mix is, and is it the best thing for now and ongoing.
All right, and now
5 years out.
So now 3 years from retirement, you say there are a few different steps you need to include in there. What are those?
Another big deal. So I just talked about, when are you going to retire? Are you going to retire before 65? So the single biggest reason that people don't, other than lack of assets or savings, health insurance. 65 is the date that people become Medicare eligible, and that helps out with that cost significantly. So if you're going to retire before that date, where's your health insurance going to come from? Is one person going to continue to work? Are you going to buy it on the exchange? Are you going to be eligible for certain programs that might bring that cost down? Because that's a huge factor. And it can blindside some folks, because while you're working, you're paying for gas, you're paying for your cell phone, you're paying for your groceries. You're paying for your health insurance most likely through your employer, so you don't really feel it as much as you do when you retire. So for some people, that feels like a new expense. So look at the health insurance, and do you need additional? Is that going to be sufficient? Do you need to think about long-term care insurance? Not the most fun conversation in the world, but some people miss this conversation in the early years of retirement. You try and have it when you're 75 and things have become cost prohibitive, and that's not the time to do it. So health insurance is a big factor before you retire, to look at what's that going to be and mean for me and my family.
Yeah, these are such important conversations to have. And finally, that final countdown is 1 year away from retirement. So what should people be thinking about in this final year?
Create a budget. No one ever likes when I say that. People say, well, I've never had a budget. A budget is not about restricting spending. It's about being realistic about what you spend. I think I've said this before on here. There's the number that, like, well, how much do you spend in a month? Well, I think we spend this much. And then there's the reality of, well, we actually spend this much every month. So you need to figure out what that number is, because if you are not going to spend the income, we talk about, do you need more income? Well, who wouldn't want more income? You don't want more income if you're not going to spend it, because then you're just going to take money out of investments, pay taxes on it, and stick it in the bank, making nothing. And that's not helping you. So a budget is identifying, we all need 3 kind of buckets of money. Bucket number 1, what do I need for expenses every month? Bucket number 2, what if I want to go on a trip, or the roof blows off my house and I need cash? You need emergency money. Bucket number 3, something needs to grow for later, because you could live to be 110. So look at that. And that lines you right up with something we call an income analysis. do you have enough money? Let's not overcomplicate things here. There's two groups of people that have enough money, people that don't. And it's not set to a dollar amount because everyone's different. You know, my parents love, you know, they'll go on a trip here and there, but my dad loves cutting the grass and my mom loves to garden. Those aren't particularly expensive activities. And there's people that say, well, I want to spend 6 months a year in New Zealand. Well, that's more expensive. So do you have enough money to live how you want to live for however long you're going to live? And then a lot of people think about, well, what if I want to leave something behind? So there's a lot to talk about. And just because what has worked over the most recent 10 years, getting you to retirement, that can be really risky if you just continue doing the same thing moving forward, because it's not the same.
Right,
So.
and I feel like when you break it down into 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, it kind of takes the burden off people and makes a plan, which is a lot less overwhelming. So thank you for that. And I know you have a special offer for our viewers today. Learn a little bit more about this. Can you talk to me about it?
It's called the pre-retirement checklist. And even if you're not close to retirement, well, it's pre-retirement, I get it. You can get it at moneywisdomtv.com. It's free, and read it, because there's going to be things on there that you're like, oh, I haven't done that. So do it. You know, and you're right, because that's the word overwhelming, is that people say, oh, I have all this to do. Well, it's very difficult to start when you look at things that way. But you start one step at a time. You know, it's like eating an elephant. I'm not sure if people do, but one bite at a time. You got to start somewhere. So it's the pre-retirement checklist, and it'll help you. And I encourage anyone, even if you're 25 years old, to read it, because time makes things a lot easier if you're working on this stuff over, let's say, a 5-year period of time, as opposed to, I'm going to retire in 6 months. What do I need to do? And you also don't know, things might change at work. You might get a retirement package. You might get laid off. Your job might get eliminated. You've got to be ready, even if it's not when you plan for it. So again, moneywisdomtv.com. We'll get it to you. It's free. Encourage you to read it. And I think it'll give you some good info.
Absolutely. Love a good checklist. It's a great place to start. Thank you, Eric Hogarth from Johnson Brunetti. And again, if you guys at home would like to learn more, that is moneywisdomtv.com. For CT Style, I'm Natasha Lubchenco, and we will see you next week.